So yeah, welcome everyone. We will think the first slide is about the Leeds food strategy. So I'll pass over to Emma, as it's her expertise, this one.
No problem. Thanks, Ruth, and apologies that I wasn't able to get in and present on the other meeting. So I know it's been a delay for everyone. So thank you for shifting over, and hopefully you'll find what we're going to discuss today interesting. So just for context about the Food is Everybody's Business training, it's been part of the development and the delivery of the Leeds Food Strategy, which is a collective strategy looking at how we can take food action in the city. So it's a joint approach between Leeds City Council, Foodwise Leeds, which is the independent food partnership for the city, and a wide range of other partners. And the strategy aims to give a long-term vision for good food in the city. It has three missions: health and well-being, food insecurity and economy, and sustainability and resilience. And within those missions, there are a number of objectives, 12 in total. And objective 4 specifically aligns to the development and delivery of food is everybody's business. And that looks to develop a skilled workforce with an offer of targeted support for people who are most likely to develop diet-related disease. Over to you, Ruth. You're just on mute.
Oh my goodness, I think I need to fully give up the title of techie person within our team because I've definitely not proved that today, my word. So as Emma described, there was a system need for this training and to make sure it was relevant to the workforce. Previously, there was a healthy living training, but after COVID, numbers were declining with that in terms of engagement. So there was a system need to refresh what food training looks like. And this is where it's quite fortuitous that it came at the same time as HATCH LCP, which covers Chapeltown, Bermontoft's, Hare Hills, and Richmond Hill area. We're talking about food and food insecurity, healthy eating, diet-related diseases, that sort of thing. And whenever we went through healthy eating content, staff communicated that they were really struggling to use that in a meaningful way within their day-to-day work. Messages maybe didn't feel relevant, they didn't feel sensitive to the cost of living crisis people were facing, to different cultural needs and cultural diets. So there was definitely a staff need to empower staff to feel able to use these messages in a way that was relevant to their work. We also have the people's need. So these graphs are incredibly tiny. I completely understand, but there's a link to the Power BI tool that this comes from. So if you're interested, you can kind of dive into these numbers more. But this is looking at the area which HATCH LCP covers, and the red columns are where health needs are higher than the Leeds average, and a lot of these are things like obesity, hypertension, diabetes, coronary heart disease, things that are diet related as well. So we kind of saw all these needs come together in a lovely, fortuitous way where we could all work on this shared thing together because it was coming from all sorts of different needs really. So this is where Food Business was born. It was part of Hatch local care partnerships, want to communicate key food messages, but in a way that suited the people that they work with every day, the people of Chapeltown, Hare Hills, Bermontoft, and Richmond Hill. This slide is quite an old one. As you can see, it's from September last year. This was outlining the project plan we were putting forward as to how we wanted to develop this. So we had this timeline you can see on the left here where we were going to scope out what the need is, getting certain partners on board, making sure this fell in line with what Hatch Local Care Partnership wanted to achieve. Then we had some people looking at the content design, what did we want to include, what was important to include. We also looked at the delivery, how were we going to deliver this in a way that was relevant to people. And then we went through a series of test and learn sessions, and that's where we tried out the training we had and adjusted things as we went. So we really try to make it as relevant and to professionals in the area as possible. And I think this is a really great slide to kind of summarize the process that we went through to develop it. Emma.
I shift forward, Ruth, or Lynn, yeah, no problem. So within the structures that Ruth just described, we work together to develop some learning outcomes for the course. And I think for me, the key shift that I've seen comparing my delivery on healthy living training to what we've built with Food is Everybody's Business, it's really got a strong acknowledgement of the fact that over time, we know the food environment has changed. So we know that the places that we live, work and play are now overloaded with easy to access, cheap, nutrient poor food, which is high in fat, salt and sugar. And we know that how we interact with food has also changed, with many people eating out as part of everyday life. We know we're provided with supersized portions, price incentives, product placement strategies that incentivise and normalise unhealthy food options. So the training's really moved away from individual advice giving, but to understanding more of the context in which people live their lives, looking at the barriers and the influences to support eating well action in practice. So we've also reversed the training. So rather than it being seen as just a course that can provide the theory of the national government tool called the Eat Well Guide, we begin by kind of reinforcing some of the skills that are embedded in the Better Conversations training that's delivered as a citywide programme, and also looking at the importance of food and healthy eating and the drivers that influence food options. And once we've kind of got that grounding of understanding person-centered approaches to healthy eating, we then look at the Eat Well Guide, particularly with a lens of the people that we're working with, thinking about cultural food needs, and also acknowledging all we've learned around barriers to healthy eating and now how that relates to providing information and theory from the Eat Well Guide. And a key learning outcome as well is thinking about everybody who comes through the training, not just being an ambassador for the individual and group work that they do, but as an ambassador in their workplace and also potentially within their own family as well, thinking about the impact of the food environment and what changes can be made by people who are going through the programme to create a more healthy eating environment. So just reflecting on the changes to the course, we wanted to kind of look at what we had before and the needs that we've identified and how we've met those through the Food is Everybody's Business course. So as Ruth mentioned, healthy living training that we used to deliver in the city that some of you might have even accessed or I know very much are aware of, used to be a one-day course that tried to consolidate people's time by covering healthy eating messages, physical activity messages and food hygiene messages. But over time and with the COVID period, we knew that people were really struggling to come to a one-day face-to-face course. So what we've done is focus solely on food aligned to Hatch's priorities, and looking at how we deliver Food is Everybody's Business as part of a system of training and having conversations with people who work in the public health development training role and other people who are delivering training in the city, like the Better Conversations team. We know that organisations are increasingly time poor, so Food is Everybody's Business is only 2 hours long. We've taken the commitment to deliver the training face to face over the next 18 months at least, because we really feel a value of the training is kind of having different people in the room who see food as part of their business, but maybe not other people in the room might have seen their role as part of that too. So a real kind of opportunity to collaborate and see how people are delivering food across different roles and the wider public health workforce. We know that the experience and the insight that we'd received from Hatch was about how we relate the Eat Well Guide messaging to different food cultures. So in Leeds, we've had strong support for developing an Eat Well Guide that showcases Eastern European food, showcases South Asian food, and so showcases Caribbean food. And we utilise these tools within our delivery so that we have visual guides that represent food that are culturally familiar to different people who live within Leeds. We're also working on a cost of living Eat Well guide as well, specifically looking at how to achieve eating well on a budget. We know that food insecurity is an increasing issue, and I do a lot of work around food insecurity in the city, and it's about kind of bringing that food insecurity message within the healthy eating message as well. So in terms of acknowledging people's barriers and influences, we know that cost could be a big barrier. So we look at how information can relate to that particular goal of eating well on a budget. We know that healthy eating messages can feel unachievable to people, and one of the conversations from one professional may differ from another. So we want to really create that consistency of message and acknowledge that people who come through the Eat Well, the Food is Everybody's Business training may well be a starter of that conversation, or may be able to pick up the consistent messages that have been provided by someone else. Also, I think we've worked really hard to change the narrative from losing something when you make a change to your diet to actually gaining something, and celebrating people's changes when we know that it can actually feel quite overwhelming in practice, that there's multiple things that people want to change. So a lot of the tools that we use within the Food is Everybody's Business training are helping people kind of navigate their own circumstances and understand which of the principles may be applicable to change in a way that's goal focused but not overwhelming.
I also just want to add to the development that I didn't quite put in there as one of the strengths of this, and one of the ways in which we've ensured we've met those real needs of the frontline staff that are having these conversations day in, day out, is it's not just been Emma and I in a room. It's been we've had our health and wellbeing coaches, we've had community development workers, we've had people who are doing the work, and that's the beauty of how we've developed it through a local care partnership. Is it's people who know the work inside and out have really helped shape it. So this is around our test and learn sessions. We had a product where we felt like, yeah, this is meeting all those criteria. This is something we're happy with, but we didn't want to just roll out and say, yep, this is great. We wanted to test how it worked in practice, and there were a lot of things that we changed from trying it out in person with people. We changed the structure slightly. We made sure things were more interactive. We had more visual cues, and that live feedback from people taking part in the training who do this work and who are the people who are having conversations, whether they're mental health people, whether they're food bank volunteers, whether they're running a walking group, or whoever they are in our health and care sector, they've given really good feedback that we now have a training that we think meets all of this stuff and is massively enhanced from that. We've also on this slide picked out a few feedback quotes of people who have been on the training, what they've got from it, which I think is really great to see that it is making an impact on people's work, even in the versions where they weren't quite as polished as what we have now, and can see this light bulb that switches in people where they think, oh, food isn't this big scary topic that they can talk about with people. It can actually enhance the work that they're doing. It can bring up conversations about culture, about the community they're in, about their connections with others, about their finances, and then you've got something really tangible you can work on. So yeah, people are feeling excited to have conversations about food when they leave the training. Emma, I think this is you, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So a big part of developing the training course and working closely with Hatch is to really kind of ground the Eat Well guide delivery and theory and training in an understanding of what's happening within communities. And we have very strongly tested what we've got so far, as Ruth has just mentioned on the previous slide, but we really want to know how we can develop this further and offer it as a citywide course. And to do that, we do need more trainers. So we are looking to recruit more trainers, particularly with an interest in health, nutrition, or community engagement experience, actually having day-to-day conversations around healthy eating as part of their role. And the trainers that have committed so far, the commitment is that they deliver training 8 hours per year. So that's to deliver on 2 courses per year, plus an hour prep meeting with a co-trainer, and the support for two annually steering group meetings, which will steer the delivery of the training moving forward. So as is identified there, and a big part of what we're asking today is how we can deliver this in practice. I think we're going to move on to kind of what it means for the organisation, but it's something to consider, or other people that you're working with who might also want to develop their skills and training in training as well, and work alongside other people who may have different expertise to themselves.
And I think, like Emma said earlier about flipping the training and concentrating on what makes a good conversation before going into the theory, just opens up the doors for people who have, yeah, that community engagement expertise as well. So I spoke with a couple of our trainers who are currently delivering this in Hatch Local Care Partnership, who they've been amazing. They've given up more than the 8 hours so far, and they've been really instrumental in making this work. I've asked them what they got out of it and how they would sell it to other people, how they would encourage other people to come on board and become trainers. And what came across really clearly was that not only was it developing their skills in presentation, in facilitation, their confidence of speaking in front of people, that's a really big development opportunity, but also felt like they were becoming experts in this area, being able to talk about food, about the different Eat Well guides, about what how to navigate this stuff. They've also met a lot of people who they wouldn't normally work with, and made contacts with people outside their day-to-day working. So whether that's PCN health and well-being coaches, or adult social care colleagues, opening the doors to connecting with professionals they wouldn't normally connect with, but having this common cause to come together with. And also just finding it rewarding that, yes, they're developing themselves in their training facilitation, but they're also helping develop others, and that being really rewarding, and being part of a wider change about how we talk about food, and who in the community is responsible for that food conversation, and trying to empower everyone to feel able to impact on someone's health, someone's food diets, and how they relate to food. Yeah, it was really great talking to the trainers. It was lovely to see. I also spoke to a couple of managers, people who manage staff, and who would need to release their staff to be part of this, and what would entice them, what sort of questions they had. And they really talked about that development for that individual worker. So an opportunity for to support someone with their personal development and trying out new skills that perhaps within their own service there's not as much opportunity for. There's not loads of opportunities internally unless you're part of a big team to stand up in front of a group of people and present, and that's some of the development that can be part of this training role. It would also help the organisation or the team integrate with other food related strategy, which was seen as a positive. I spoke to a charity, and they talked about using the delivery in terms of their outcomes for certain contracts or certain bids. It helped them show a range of things they can impact on when they're going for new bids. We also, with our trainers, we put them on an introduction to facilitation skills provided by Leeds Health and Care Academy. So really, it's not just about, right, here's the training, stand in front of a group of people and deliver it. It's trying to give the support to develop those skills so they feel they're not just winging it as such. They're practicing something that they've been taught as well. And also, just on a practical level, 8 hours per year can feel like a big commitment. When you break it down, it's roughly 10 minutes of staff time per week. So although it could be like a 2 hour chunk here with a bit of travel to and from, or our meeting here to as part of the steering group, when you add it up all together, 8 hours a year is manageable in terms of like what you would expect from that individual within a week.
Just thinking about the organisation as well, we're kind of in a bit of a position now where we're looking at kind of the future of food is everybody's business, which is part of this information cascade. But one of the things that we're really keen on is to kind of understand where we want to deliver the training from an organisational perspective. And actually, by being a trainer, an organisation has got someone who's kind of vested interest in that conversation and can share in what the need is for each individual organisation. So if organisations support releasing staff, then there's as many staff attend as possible. The variation in food messaging across organisation is changed, so we create that consistency that we want. That may be from people who have found themselves in the community, then maybe experience a healthcare setting, then may find themselves in a different service, and we can make sure that the consistency and the delivery of healthy eating messages is the same across the different settings. We'll have a workforce who is confident to have food conversations, increasing confidence, increased behaviour change and prevention, hopefully, because it will result in more informed staff, helps develop more relatable goals, and then tracks them and monitors them for members of the public as well. There could be increased confidence in food organisations as well, and confidence in overall systems working, which kind of guides us back to that overarching vision and objective that's within the Leeds food strategy about making sure we have a skilled workforce as a whole across Leeds delivering these messages effectively and feeling supported to do that. And as I said, there's a champion there directly within organisations who can help the rollout of the training across specific organisations as well. We've already had a few conversations of that nature with people who want to see it delivered to the team, and we've kind of put the challenge back and the ask back that if we can have someone to support the training, you've got that person who is ongoingly trying to recruit, is ongoing reminding people about the importance of this agenda, ongoing reminding about the tools that are available, which helps with the delivery across specific organisations.
So thinking about who would this pool of trainers look like? Who would it consist of? So currently we've got Emma here today is one of the trainers. We've got a PCN health and wellbeing coach, so works with people one-to-one about their health options and so their diet, but also their physical activity and that sort of thing. And then we've also got a Leeds City Council project development team member. So that's someone who works with individuals in the community to build groups and connection within community settings. So already with those three, we've got quite a wide range of experience and background. Now, in terms of the future pool, we've put down a few key roles we think would be able to bring something to the table there. So other PCN health and wellbeing coaches across the city, nutritionists, community development workers, lunch clubs providers, social prescribers, dietetics, food bank staff. And I know some of those people are in the call today, which is fantastic. But the thing is that it could be anyone, because food, like we've said, food is everyone's business. It has an impact on so many parts of people's lives. We've got a really great slide within the training, actually, which is talking about what food means to me. And it goes through physical health, mental health, culture and connection, faith, security and finances, all sorts of things. And that means every role on this call today has some impact on food. So we're kind of saying, look, it could be you, it could be one of your team, it could be someone in your organization who wants to explore this opportunity and also can see that relationship to food and wants to support others to see their relationship with food as well in their work. So we're open to conversations with anyone. And we've got time for questions. At the end of the slideshow, we've got my contact and Emma's contact as well. So do feel free to get in touch with us after to have specific conversations. I'm going to stop sharing now. And this is the first time I've seen everyone who's managed to come to the second call. So thank you so much for dealing with our tech issues and jumping from link to link and all sorts. And I'm glad we still got time for questions at the end. Emma and I also did go through that presentation incredibly quickly because we wanted to have enough time for questions at the end as well. So you'll get the slides after, you'll get the recording after. But does anyone have any questions they'd like to ask right away? Do you have a flyer or poster for the Become a Trainer that we can share? Yes, Dominic. We've got a trainer role profile that I've given to the manager I mentioned during that presentation. She's going to give me some feedback and if we need to make any tweaks. Once that's ready, we can absolutely send it out, and I think that's really important. Yeah. Well, that's a good question, Josh. Where would you like to see this training in a year's time? Emma?
I think I'd like to have a larger trainer pool, which oh sorry Ruth, it looks like you're still talking, but yeah, okay. Sorry, I didn't want to overcut you. I'd love to have a wider trainer pool that kind of has representation across a range of organisations that's looking at ensuring recruitment from a wide variety of organisations. For me, I think as people come forward, if we don't get a flurry of trainers, we'll probably have to look at how we target our training to specific organisations, recruit trainers from within that organisation, and look at a slower rollout where we do it kind of organisation by organisation, which can take its time. But I also think my history of delivering healthy living training has been the value of different people all being in the same room who've never been in the same room before, going through the 2 hours together and having the opportunity to have discussions about where food fits in their role and understanding, what services also are available in the city, and what conversations occur around food in the widest sense. So but my view is that it would kind of be available as a program of training that's maybe on offer quarterly, that is open access to a wide variety of the workforce. But then also as a sideline to that, there may be specific organisations who there is a value of working with them as a staff team and looking at how they deliver it within service as well. So I'd like to have a balance of both those things.
Fab. I've also put a couple of questions in the chat, but that's aimed at all of you. So thinking about yourselves and your organisations, are there any barriers that we've not considered that would stop you from being involved with this training? Or how do you think this could fit in with your organisation as is? Does anyone have any ideas or reflections that they'd like to share?
Just to pick up on Dominique's point that's in the chat as well, Ruth, we don't specifically address ARFID. Understand that obviously it is an issue that's relevant for that's presenting, but that's something that we would be asking people to get specialist support on. So we don't acknowledge that. It's more kind of tailored around the barriers to healthy eating and the overarching general population message. So we don't go into any specific long-term conditions, as we don't go into any specific eating patterns either.
That's a really good point. We've also been looking at diabetes and making sure that the training supports any diabetes messaging. And that's the great thing about using the Eat Well guide as the basis of this food messaging, is that the Eat Well guide does support those conversations. Obviously, people need to still get specialist advice, but if the general workforce feels able to back up that specialist advice with the Eat Well guide, then it's still helping towards those changes. I can see someone typing, so I'm waiting for that question to come through. But does anyone else have any questions or reflections on what we've presented?
Do my little.
Rachel?
Oh, hi. I was going to take me too
Yes,
long to stick
Rachel.
it in the chat. Hi, everyone. So, Rich Van, I'm a community dietitian working for Leeds Community Healthcare. So, obviously, I have had a lot of history with the healthy living training from years ago. So, it's great to see that it's been refreshed, renewed, and Emma has sort of been keeping us up to date with its development. But it's good to see that it is going to be something that will be widespread for the city if you can get your pool together. I think that's the important thing. So it won't just be for the Hatch, this particular local partnership area. So that's good because we all still want to keep going with that consistent food messages across the city around the Eat Well in its various formats. But it is not designed to be disease specific by any means. So that's really good that you clarified that. Um, I think in from a Leeds community NHS perspective, obviously the pressures are to make sure our waiting lists are kept down. So it means to say that we are quite tight in being able to do anything else. But it is great to know that if we get any requests, we've now got somewhere to signpost people. So that's a really good thing. So I was thinking that would probably be my key role. But I don't know. I'll go back and I can always see if I can maybe see from a staff development point of view whether we might be able to release one staff, but I can't make any promises. But I just wanted to say as well that we do, because we have quite a limited service, so we always think it is best to work in partnership. So we do work with the Leeds City Council and other ways of food and nutrition and hydration. So that is linked to, I can put a link in the chat, in the questions and answers thing. And that has been a lot for Leeds City Council staff, but obviously it is available to any third sector organisation around supporting people, probably more the re-enablement when you're trying to re-enable people around the Eat Well, which will also cover, diabetes, but it will also cover a little bit about that weight loss, but it is not designed for the younger person. And it is a great shame Leeds does not have a service at all for ARFID, people struggling with ARFID. So I can only recommend, obviously, the national websites for those. So I'm rabbiting on, which is why I wasn't really sure what to put in the chat box. So terribly sorry about that. But I just wanted to say, well done. It sounds really exciting. So keep up the hard work, and I'm sure Em will keep me tabs, keep tabs, allow me to keep tabs on it.
Yeah, great, Rachel. And I mean, it would be wonderful to have someone to support from the service, but even I suppose as a secondary ask, if that's going to be too much to support direct delivery, if maybe someone from your team could even support the steering group just when we review the course from a quality perspective annually or something like that. Just obviously throughout its development, I've wanted to ensure that you've had your eyes over it as from a dietetic perspective. We're delivering general population healthy eating messages, but as always with you'll remember with healthy living training, we get drawn into conversations or we get asked about specific diseases and other things. And we just want to make sure that we can signpost to people and provide, help people to feel confident that actually it isn't always a community development worker's role to kind of step outside their boundaries around some of the healthy eating advice as well. I think I reflect on when we first delivered healthy living training, and I remember a health trainer saying to me, I actually feel a bit more empowered to talk about food now because I was so worried that people had started asking me about how to manage this condition and what specifically to eat that I just shied away from it because actually I didn't feel that was my role and I felt out of my comfort zone. So we're taking that through to Food is Everybody's Business to make sure people are using the central messaging and where they feel that something's been asked outside of their expertise area that they know where to signpost to.
Yeah, brilliant. No, it is really good, and I think for all organizations, I think you may not necessarily have a massive food focus. You could be, you cover lots of other wider determinants of health. But the thing about food is that everyone does eat, and so sometimes it can be quite uh, an easy way to start a conversation, even though you may want to get into a completely different direction. But at least if you do start the direction and they do seem to grab onto it, then actually then you know you feel safe with how you're going to manage that once you've started it. So, but it's great. So yeah, well
Yeah,
done,
definitely.
everyone.
And I suppose it's that kind of thing about, bring the tea and they will come, but the tea that you bring does, can have a balanced choice as part of it. And, the environment and things as well is where we're trying to look at. So being role modeling for that, I went to a particular event yesterday and I thought it'd be great to have seen some satsumas alongside those biscuits. So just, creating the right environment where you're not kind of always nudging people towards the more unhealthy choices as well. So I think there's an opportunity there within that. But yeah, food as a vehicle to delivering a whole host of information is a very well established conversation starter.
Fantastic. Thank you all so much, and thank you again for bearing with the tech issues. You'll get the slides and I'll get the recording sorted and up on our YouTube. So if you've got any colleagues, any partners, anyone you work with that you think would be interested, please support it by spreading it far and wide. We'd love to get more trainers, but also just more connections in with existing food programs and where we can collaborate, like the It's All About Food that's been mentioned in the chat. That's amazing. I'm going to leave you all with the slide I talked about. That's my favorite slide from the deck, which is all about what does food mean to me, and showing just the ways in which food touches people's lives. As Rachel said, everyone eats, and food means a lot of things to a lot of people, and I think this really sums up the kind of ethos of what we're trying to achieve with this training. Thank you all, and have a wonderful rest of your day, whatever you're up to. And yeah, feel free to get in touch with Emma or I, and take care. Bye.
Ruth, just to say, just before we actually close,
Okay, yeah, go on.
if there is any opportunity, I know we've been a lot smaller audience than we'd first anticipated, but if you would like Ruth or I to come and kind of deliver this in any of your team meetings or any other meetings that kind of are cross service or cross partner meetings, do let us know, because we really want to put a push out there over the next couple of months to see if we can increase this pull so that next year we can really work out what the delivery program looks like for Food is Everybody's Business. So we are a resource at the moment, happy to kind of come and speak to people to try and do whatever we can to increase that trainer pool.
Thanks, Emma.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.